Welcome back to the High School Athlete Nutrition Podcast, where we're keeping it real about how to fuel strategically for different phases of your performance. And today, Katie and I are talking about travel nutrition and vacation nutrition, two kind of different things. One being you're traveling for showcases, tournaments, college ID camps, anything like that. And then you have the family vacation, right? Different fueling strategies, different things. And I'm just coming off of a vacation. Let me tell you, there's nothing more exciting than really diving into a new area, trying new foods, getting new fun things. It's awesome. But let's start by talking a little bit about why travel nutrition matters when it comes to your performance. If you have a camp or something like that, Katie, what would be like your two top reasons athlete needs to focus on a strategy for traveling?
My first one would be there's so many variables changing about where you're going. Like everything about your schedule is not the same. And so if we're not intentional, we're going to struggle. And I think the other thing around travel nutrition that's so important is that a lot of times your intensity or the amount of movement you're doing, that exercise component is increasing dramatically as well. Because when we go down to do a showcase or a tournament, like you're doing more than you do just training days.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. So looking at just energy, it's also, you think about like, this is when you want to be your best.
Mhm.
Like you're literally going to a showcase or a college ID camp or a tournament or anything like that. You want to show up as your most competitive self, energized, strength, endurance, speed, all there. And so being consistent with your nutrition and your sleep as much as possible is a big part of that. So when it comes to maintaining your energy levels, consistency with nutrition and really mirroring what you do at home as much as possible
Mhm.
is really, really key. That comes down to planning ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And being intentional around that.
Mhm.
So planning ahead, like what would you tell your athletes to start with?
Yeah, my number one recommendations, whether I'm working with like a middle school, high school, collegiate athlete or team, is we're thinking about one, what's your mode of transportation? Are you flying? Are you on a bus? Are you just with your family in a car or traveling with friends? Like I used to carpool as a kid, like the four of us, like one parent and four teammates from the area would drive together to the tournament. You think about like what can you pack. So if you're on like that's kind of start small, but if you're with your family or you're traveling with your team, like what can you pack in your bag that's going to be shelf stable for those few days? I
Mhm.
always recommend packing like at least 3 to 5 random snacks per day. So maybe it's a box or two of granola bars and then a box of applesauce or something like that. And then if you're traveling with a team, often, hopefully, coaches listening, this is a good tip, they're having a team snack bag,
Yes.
which is great. But as an athlete, you don't want to rely on that because what if you don't like what's in there?
Mhm.
Or what if they run out or something like that? It's always better just to be over prepared with snacks. So that's kind of my number one tip. If you're traveling, just have a plan for snacks. And if you're flying, what can you pack that's, not fluid, you're not going to get in trouble with? Like you could put boxes of granola bars in your bag. Like that will totally go through security, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
about being strategic, or even like the individual packs of trail mix are great. Just that sort of
Mhm.
thing. Like what can you pack snack wise to fill in the gaps would be my number one recommendation. Just planning ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, even planning ahead is like if you don't have enough space in your carry-on or you don't have enough space in your bag or in the car that you can take enough snacks for a 4-day trip, okay, like make a plan that like once you get to your destination, you've got your rental car or once you've gotten everything settled, like you're finding the nearest grocery store and you're going and getting those snacks. Like
Yeah.
that is also being intentional and planning ahead.
Mm-hmm. I love that idea too, because sometimes there isn't enough space in the car, especially like when I used to travel with my teammates and friends and like one parent, it'd always be like, we all have our soccer bags plus our like suitcase. The car was packed. If their siblings were coming along, there was no space in that
Yeah.
car for a
Hmm.
lot of extra things. Which is really, I love the idea of just like thinking about like snacks or even snacks to share. My mom used to get the giant box of goldfish. I'm talking about like opened up and you just yeah, that was like our
Yes.
go-to car snack for travel trips. But yeah, I love the idea of the strategy, either packing before or going after, and also thinking about meals
Yes.
along the way
Hmm.
is important. Give me some tips for driving, bus with a team or driving with your family. Like what would be your strategy for meals?
For meals.
Mhm.
I think that it could be, there's two different thoughts that I'm having. One is like stopping and getting food. The beauty of GPS is now we can just type in and be like, food near me.
Yeah.
Like, are we looking for a Chipotle? Are we looking for a tropical smoothie? I'm thinking a lot of more like sandwich type restaurants. If you're not playing that day, you could do something a little bit heavier. But I think to sticking to maybe restaurants that you know you can find things that you're comfortable with, you've had before, you know how they like mess with your GI system. And so a lot around these tournament type settings, you'll hear Steph and I talking about it all the time, like nothing new on game day. Nothing like this is not the time to try Indian food for the first time if you've never had it.
Mhm.
Go to restaurants that you're familiar with, or if it's not a sandwich place that you've heard of, but you know that you do well with turkey sandwiches, great. Let's do some turkey type sandwiches.
Yeah, yeah, simplicity. I'm gonna reiterate that because it's so important. Is don't try anything new around competition days. Like really keep it simple. If you're used to the turkey sandwich, stick with that. This is what my family and I do. So we do travel with our dog and my toddler now, but this is something that is super helpful for families. But if you can, order ahead somewhere. So, like, I
Mhm.
have the Chipotle app, the Panera app, the Wawa app on my phone that we specifically use for travel. And so I'll look like 20 or 30 minutes ahead and like pre order. We were traveling with my husband's friend, and you just pass my phone around the car. I was like, everyone put your order in. And then we were able to order it ahead of time. So you get there, bathroom really quick, grab your sandwiches
Mhm.
or whatever you want, and then you're back on the road. So that it saves time too. Cause it could be, if
Yes.
you're getting a car full of sandwiches or a car full of meals, it could be it could be 30 minutes before
Yeah.
everything's done. So if you can order ahead, if you can look again your GPS, if you can look ahead, like what's a couple exits ahead and pre-order and just save yourself a few minutes to get out of the car sooner, definitely worth it.
Also wanted to point out, like, if you're traveling with your whole team, this idea of simplicity too, and like the idea that like if all of you have to go into Subway to order, and there's 20 of you, it's going to be a while. So like, even though it might sound silly to have a snack before you go in, it might be worth having an applesauce pouch or having like a that's it bar, something quick and easy before you even go get your meal, because you might be waiting another 30 to 45 minutes before you even get to put your order in.
I like that a lot. And when it comes to meal components, you're sticking to what you know, but you're also thinking, okay, if you have a game later that afternoon, you're looking at mostly carbs, a
Hmm.
leaner protein, and simple fats. So you're not going to have French fries or tater tots or things that are more fried. Thinking about like going back to just a simple roast beef sandwich or a ham sandwich or something very very simple where your side is like fruit and pretzels versus French fries. I love French fries. Let's save those for recovery after the game. Let's save them for later, but really sticking to the simple carbs, a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat to help get you ready for the game. And then afterwards, have whatever you want to. What about
Yeah.
hydration?
Mm. Hydration. Yeah. I think that sometimes when we start driving or flying, we don't want to have to pee in public restrooms, or like we don't want to have to stop more. But I think that if the goal here is your performance and the goal here is to get to like show off how awesome you are on the field, like isn't stopping an extra time to go to the bathroom like worth it if that's going to be setting you up for success?
Yeah.
I do think too, we're getting into summer. So we're now talking about like these tournaments we're going to. I have tennis players that are going to Florida. And like Kentucky's hot right now, but it's not as hot as Florida is. So we're now also talking about like, let's go ahead and start getting a Gatorade in during the day on your way down. It's
Yeah.
also going to help increase your carbs for the glycogen, but it's going to help with the electrolyte component of getting those in as we're getting ready to go into 100-degree heat.
Yeah. So true. And if you're playing in turf, like on turf, like it's
Yeah.
even hotter. It's worse if you're out in the heat or like blacktop, it's just hot. Pre-hydrating is
Hmm.
important and just sip, sip, sip. Don't feel like you have to chug, but just sip. It's hard to play catch up on hydration right before you hit the field because you're gonna be sloshy, uncomfortable. Just sip all day long, add electrolytes or add salty things like pretzels, Cheez-Its, goldfish, like deli meat, that sort of stuff. Just get that sodium in before game time for sure.
Yeah. And I also think too, talking about other drinks that could provide hydration outside of just like water and electrolytes, it could be that like if it's a morning time and you're driving down, like can you grab a Fairlife chocolate milk before you leave the house?
Mhm.
Or just like a normal glass of milk. Milk is a great form of hydration as well.
Yeah.
So adding that in, or it could be like getting a lemonade with your sandwich on the way down. Lemonades are such a fun drink, but
You read
also
my
they're
mind.
it's because they're so delicious. And I'm like a strawberry lemonade kind of girl, or a Chick-fil-A lemonade. I'm a little bit particular. Are you
Yeah.
particular on yours?
No. No. When I was pregnant, I loved lemonade more than I do now.
Mm,
And I actually got the Panera Sip Club card. I would go before I saw clients during the day, in the middle of the day when I was working for Teams on my way home. Like, I loved their lemonade and iced tea. It was so good. But I'm not picky. I'll go with any.
Okay. Yeah. My go-to favorite drinks are like tea. I love tea,
Yeah.
which is also fine. Like that is a good drink of choice. Sweet tea, I would say, is pretty similar to like a lemonade where you're getting those extra carbs in.
Mhm.
I prefer unsweet tea. I don't know what's happened to my southernness, but like it's getting lost a little bit.
Coming to the north.
Yeah. But all of these are great options for hydration of like mixing it up because let's be real, like I get sick of drinking water if that's all the substance that I'm getting from hydration. Like
Yeah.
it gets old real fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to talk about adding structure to the day. So we talked about like hydration, trying to sip throughout the day where you can, and having more, electrolytes around training and competition. But what about structure? I think like most of these athletes are either traveling, so they're leaving their houses early in the morning, or they're staying at a hotel and they don't have access to a full kitchen. So let's walk through the day and give some ideas of what could be options for like breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, that sort of stuff. So let's start with breakfast and the all famous hotel breakfast.
Hotel breakfast. So I would say protein options at hotel breakfast, milk. Almost always there is milk,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt. Most places do a good job with yogurt and peanut butter. I
Yeah.
think all three of those are great options.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be like the protein options that I feel are most common. Do you feel,
Yeah.
did I miss any that you, oh, eggs.
Sometimes eggs. Yeah. Sometimes they'll have
Hmm.
scrambled eggs or hard boiled eggs. You could do something like that. But yeah, you pretty much those are the if you're doing like more of the continental kind of open breakfast, but then some of them have the restaurant where you can really custom and you can get
Hmm.
an omelet or scrambled eggs or a yogurt bowl or something like that. So it just really depends on what's available in your specific hotel and what's good. But something else to think about is like if your whole team's staying there and if there's other teams staying there, you want to get there early and,
Yeah,
and, and have
I
a
had it
full.
happen. My mom and I went to a wedding a few weeks ago and there was a football team. There was like multiple teams there.
Mhm.
By the time we got down to breakfast at 9 o'clock, it was like 8:30 or 9. It had been like it was ravished through. It was gone.
Yeah.
And so just, yeah, realizing you might need to get down there a little bit early. But also, I think we go back to that idea of packing things. Like, I have plenty of parents that will pack protein granola bars or peanut
Mhm.
butter. These, like, trail mix, these are all ideas that, like, if you need to supplement a little bit for breakfast, these are good ideas to just kind of like add on if you get there and things are gone.
Yeah, and if you guys are stopping at the grocery store when you're there, you can get a few cups of yogurt to keep in like the hotel fridge or something
Hmm.
like that, or pre-made hard-boiled eggs from the store. Like those are really easy things. They also have like the egg bites. A lot of
Mm,
times in the freezer or refrigerator section, you can get something like that and just pop them in the microwave in your room for quick fuel. Another idea, like the Kodiak oatmeal cups.
mm. Yes,
You
those are good.
don't even have to leave your room. Grab a banana, or maybe you do. Go downstairs, grab a banana and peanut butter, and then add that to your oatmeal cup. But yeah,
Hmm.
really simple ideas. And then so you have your protein. Carbs are also essentials. We touched on oatmeal, toast, bagels. My team growing up, we would knock out the waffle bar.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
Like we
But I
would.
also think with the
Yep.
waffle bar, all of them take like 2 to 3 minutes to
Yeah.
make. So
Yeah.
once again, like just timing. Some of this is
Mhm.
just like planning around some of that timing. But yes, waffle bar. Mm.
Yeah, and then cereal and that sort of stuff. And actually, speaking of the continental breakfast, I always recommend athletes take something to go with them. Grab a box of cereal, grab a piece of fruit. Like, don't steal everything, but grab one thing to go later because cereal's great in between games. Or if breakfast wasn't enough, you need something in 30 minutes, or grab a banana. Great, just grab something to have a little bit later as a bonus snack. It can be really helpful.
And that cuts down on what you have to buy as well.
True. So true. As we got older, we had to stay with our teammates, and so our parents would stay
Hmm.
separately, and we'd share a hotel with like 3 to 4 of us in a room. Our team would get bagels, like just bags
Mm.
of bagels
Hmm.
and spreads and fruit, and so we kind of did our own breakfast because it would get pretty chaotic down there in the morning, and if it was tournament style and there's a lot of other teams there. So that's something to think about too. Parents is can you just have your team fund, or you guys kind of sponsor breakfast where you're just bringing in bagels, spreads, fruits, maybe some drinkable yogurts or chocolate milk for the
Hmm.
morning, just getting athletes up and going can be really helpful.
For sure. What about then? Like, what does structure look like after breakfast? I feel like breakfast is one on tournament time that like we're really good about being on
Mhm.
top of that. But then
Mhm.
after that, like game times change or like just the structure of the day looks different. So like, what would you do for like the structure around like an 11 o'clock game?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to rely on the concession stand. We're not gonna do that. No, I think the first thing is, so if you have an 11 o'clock game, like, you're probably having breakfast pretty early. I'm just thinking back on, like, my athletes and, like, my experience in tournaments, like, my coaches would have us up pretty early. We typically would do some sort of, like, warm up, then breakfast, and then we'd head to the field, find a place, start warm ups all over again, that sort of stuff. So really thinking about, you're probably on the field by 9, like, you're trying to get parking, getting there, getting ready, finding the field, that's if it's your first game. So games at 11, you probably want to have another snack at least by 10. And
Mhm.
then maybe even another mini snack like 10:45. Really topping off those energy stores. Your games are long tournaments, you have multiple per day, it's hot, you're burning a lot of energy, just keeping up with fuel as much as possible. And so kind of leading up, you have that strong breakfast leading up to game 1, simple snacks. And the farther you are, so if you're 2 hours before, you get a little bit of protein in. 1 hour before, I'd start just leading into just simple carbs, thinking like that dip bar or cereal that you took from the breakfast bar, or just a banana or an applesauce, animal crackers, something along those lines. Keep it simple.
Yeah, very simple. And I think I typically follow the rule of like every 2 hours, like we don't need to be going more than 2 hours without fuel during a tournament, whether that's having an easy to digest snack before the game, or I think even like talking about after game fueling. If you're talking about like going out to eat with your team, like you need to be having a post workout snack. I've sat down as a coach and it's been 2 hours before we even get served food if you all go out to eat together.
Mm-hmm. And you're not the only team doing that. Like all the
Yeah.
games at the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah. So definitely having that plan. That's why I do love the idea of like stopping at the grocery store and like getting some stuff to make sandwiches, or like a big sub,
Hmm.
or pre-ordering if there's like a sandwich shop or something. Can you pre-order a menu and take an order for all the athletes and have some stuff, and then just have chocolate milk and pretzels and just getting some fuel in if there's enough time between games. Like sometimes there's only
Hmm.
90 minutes and you can't have that full meal. So just a peanut butter and jelly or just an Uncrustable is something. It gets some fuel in. It's not too much protein, but it does get some energy in. Depending on, if you have 3 hours, get that full meal in. If you only have an hour, 90 minutes, stick to just PB&J or peanut butter crackers.
Hmm. Yeah, agreed. So, and I think all of the tournament type schedule is just going to vary so much. So, I do think going back to the idea of like every 2 hours, making sure you're having some type of fuel and you're not going more than like 2 to 3 hours without food
Mhm.
is going to be like how you can problem solve around when or what to be eating at that point in time.
Yeah, and this is also where I call it having your snack roster, but you have a list of snacks work for you at different times
Hmm.
before practice. They work for you, so you can transition them to game day. So if you know that Cliff Bars work for you 45 minutes out, guess what you're bringing for tournaments when you only have an hour break?
Hmm.
Cliff Bars. If you know that applesauce works for you, like bring that specific applesauce and really stick with what you've practiced and trained with, because that will help keep your energy up. If you think about game day, like you naturally are more excited, you have more anxiety, just there's a lot going on. And so your gut's a little butterfly. There's some stuff going on there. So if you could stick with what you know, it just helps you just really focus on the game a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you hit on something really big, maybe unintentionally, but I think what you just mentioned is that like we can't start fueling for tournament weekend on tournament weekend.
Yeah.
That idea of like, unfortunately, we have to be intentional about our fueling like during the weekdays when we're just doing normal day to day life.
Yeah. Yeah. You're practicing and you're figuring out what works for you. And like personally, like I love Cliff Bars as a pre-workout fuel, but I need 45 minutes to an hour before I run or have a soccer game to eat that
Mm-hmm.
Cliff Bar. Or I have some athletes, like I have a runner, he'll eat a Cliff Bar and then 15 minutes later go running. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm glad your
Hmm.
stomach can handle that. But everyone's so different. And so you have to practice your fueling strategies on practice and training days so that you know exactly what works on those competition days.
For sure. Do you want to hit for, is there anything else you want to hit on around fueling for tournaments, or do we want to talk about fun travel?
Yeah, I think the one thing I want to talk about is dinner. That's the other one. Like,
Yeah.
end of the
Okay.
day dinner. Sometimes you'll do team dinner, sometimes you're going out. This is your chance to really level up, because during the day you probably haven't eaten as much as you need to. So this is like double down on fuel, have a snack before bed. Especially if a coach is having you up early the next morning, that's your chance to double down on recovery and make sure that you've eaten enough for the day and your muscles can recover overnight. So again, you're stronger and your battery's fully full and ready to go for that next day.
Love it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Cool. Okay. Let's talk about fun stuff.
Yes. Fun travel. Everybody loves taking a trip, but I think that sometimes when we take a trip, we like not only are we on vacation mode, but our food brain also goes to vacation mode. And then I have a lot of athletes that like skip meals or skip snacks. And I think that instead of skipping these opportunities, I'm like, what an opportunity to go get something fun that we don't normally have. Like, I'm imagining going to the beach and having like one of the, like a fun drink while we're there, or going and getting a free coffee, like a fun coffee beverage
Yeah.
that can also be fueling.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of my favorite things. We just had a beach trip this past weekend and it was so fun. I personally love travel and just jumping into like all the local stuff. And so
Yeah.
day one, Max found a donut food truck and I was like, guess where we're going before the beach. So that's that sort of thing. Like you want to be consistent and that's like something we really plan around. It's like what's breakfast, what's lunch, what's dinner, and then what snacks. You might not need as many snacks because you're may not be training, but at the same time, if you're the kind of beach family where like you're running up and down the beach and you're throwing a football and you're playing all these fun games, like you might be burning as much fuel as if you have practice. So you need to level up and really think about like what can you pack. And then if you're in a hot place, like you mentioned, like going to the beach, like having a fun drink. A friend actually told me this morning about a watermelon slushy. So they froze watermelon and then
Hmm.
took it out of the freezer and put it in a smoothie maker with frozen watermelon. I think it was a little bit of juice and then strawberries and blended it up. And
Yum.
it's kind of like a slushy. I'm like, that sounds really hydrating and good.
Yeah. And
Like,
delicious.
yeah, like, can you just have fun? If I think exploring new things is what it's all about.
Yeah. And I also think too, like where I live, a lot of people are going to the beach during the summer. But like one of my soccer families they went out west. So they're going out to the Grand Canyon and they're going hiking. Like that is my definition of a good time.
Oh,
Like
I love
take
it.
me out to hike and put me in the woods and I am like happy as can be. But like that is that's not a recovery trip. That is a like active vacation
Yeah.
where then like you have to be fueling just as much and being just as intentional.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to come back depleted.
Yeah. Yeah. I think thinking about that training too. I had an athlete I'm still working with him, but last summer he went on a vacation and he was planning to run like 5 to 6 miles a day in the morning. And I was like, what part of this is rest and recovery? Because there is a point, I think, in terms of injury, like reducing your injury risk, but also giving your body a chance to fuel. So many athletes, and many of you listening, are training all year round. Whether it's with the same club or you're bouncing from sport to sport, you don't have proper rest and time to just let your body be. This is ideal time to re-nourish, relax, catch up on sleep, all of that stuff. So it's kind of not. I mean, I love a good run on vacation, whether it's to the trails in the woods or on the beach or the boardwalk, whatever it is. But can you taper back? If you're a distance runner and you're planning 6 to 8 miles, can you just do a 2 mile quick, like just shake it out run, and then get back,
Mm-hmm.
get in the pool or whatever you're doing. But I think this is a good opportunity to really take some time to rest and re-nourish and have fun and not feel guilty. I think that's something that a lot of athletes will tell me, like, oh, well, I'm not training as much, so I can't eat as much. But you forget that you're still a human that needs a lot of fuel, and you're still a growing teen who needs a lot of fuel. And even taking the athlete part out of it, you still need a lot of fuel. And food doesn't always have to be directly like has to be fueling, has to be this. Sometimes it's just meant to be fun. Like you could have just had breakfast, but now we're going for donuts, and that's fun and that's great. And many of you are under fueled anyway, so that extra energy is great.
Yes. Yeah. And, you were talking about fun food, and I'm like, every trip that we go on, like, ice cream is part of the journey, right? So, like, and sometimes we're trying like weird ice cream. Like, when we went to Maine, we tried lobster ice cream. Gross. It was
Okay.
disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't recommend. But other times, too, it is going to just finding a local ice cream shop and just getting a normal flavor ice cream that's delicious.
Mhm.
But, like, is it having ice cream 4 or 5 times that week because that's fun and delicious? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
The
Yeah.
answer is yes.
That was the highlight of my trip this past weekend is we found like a local, I love like the homemade, just local ice cream shop. It's my favorite.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, you've got to have fun. I mean, especially if you're in a new place with new
Hmm.
culture and new foods or local foods you haven't had before, or even like I've had donuts before, but this was like a food truck that was super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that also, I think if we don't talk about that, these foods also create like positive memories as well. Like, how often are the things that we look back on trips surrounded by like food? And so being able to allow yourself to know that like this isn't going to change your health by having donuts and ice cream. Like nothing's changing about you.
Yeah, you're just having fun and creating memory. This is a topic I talk about a lot, especially with my athletes who are kind of tiptoeing on disordered eating or eating with a full eating disorder. It's that, when you're avoiding these foods, you're also isolating yourself from your closest family and friends, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not creating those memories. And isolation is never fun, doesn't help anyone. So you want to create those memories, and you want to have that closeness. Like I think about my childhood, and like s'mores were central to the fun we had on
Mm-hmm.
camping trips. So you really want to look at like how can you create these memories so that when you are older, you're looking back and you're being like, wow, I had a ton of fun.
Yeah, because that's the goal. Whenever I work with my kids that are struggling with disordered eating, I'm like, I want you to be a normal teenager. And a normal teenager goes out for ice cream and
Yeah.
knows that it's okay. And like you're giggling with your friends and acting a fool because that's what teenagers do. And that's what we want for you.
Yeah, that's great advice. We need to end it right there. Like that's that's such good advice. Yeah, mic drop for Katie. No, but I think it's just when you go on vacation, you want to have fun. And so if you're listening to this and you're heading to a tournament or you're heading to vacation, I hope you took one little nugget away when it comes to tournament fueling. Planning ahead, having that strategy and knowing what works for you beforehand is so important. And then when you're going on vacation, fun, fun, fun is the number one word. But thank you for listening in to the High School Athlete Nutrition Podcast. We are so excited that you are here. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us 5 stars. We love hearing your feedback and your recommendations for future topics. So until next time, athletes, happy fueling.